And get rid of the rock. I don't think
All right, guys. We are back for another.
Can you guys hear? Am I muted or something?
Episode. Yeah, you're good, Tony. He was just
no, we could definitely hear. And in the background as well.
I forgot I had this plugged in, so that the volume was coming through this. I'd rather unplug it.
Yo, but let him know you're a cowboy.
Oh yeah, I didn't hear what y'all said, but what you was introducing us?
Yeah. He was trying. Go ahead.
Big Mike, you want to take over professionally, please?
Sorry about that.
Just introduce yourself.
Welcome to another episode of Mental Theater, our post-show after our Netflix watch party, which will have some stuff about that movie that we watched, as well as topics dealing with film and TV, what's going on today.
That's right.
Absolutely. And we actually had an amazing Netflix party watching Underworld Evolution. Incredible film. Love it, love it, love it.
Oh yeah. One of my I think
what did you guys think about watching it again?
Well, it is my favorite werewolf / vampire movie. So any movie that they ever made with both species, that's Underworld Evolution is my favorite. So I really enjoy watching it. And the fact that I was able to watch it and talk to you guys about it as we're watching it was also pretty cool.
You know what? After watching it, I mean, I've watched it several times in both, but it's weird. I kind of feel like I like the first one better now, actually. Okay. So it's very interesting to me. But it's a great movie. You know, the action is ridiculous. Yeah. But I felt like the introduction and the story they were telling in the first movie was better for me, actually, at the end of the day. Like now, I feel like I'm a different viewer of film than I was, let's say, 10 years ago. Okay. So the things that I look for, you know, is different. So now I kind of now like the first one better, actually.
Yeah, and I get it because the first one story was more about Celine and her uncovering what happened to her family and figuring out that there was treachery because the one guy that was a vampire was secretly down with the Lycans. So that was cool. For me, I like this because the story of the very first vampire and very first werewolf, they're brothers, and he locked away the one werewolf because he's too powerful. So and then what I like is a climactic clash, right? So I like you had the hybrid guy that's a werewolf vampire, and you had the pretty much one of the toughest vampires, which is Celine, and then they both like pretty much a tag team match face off the original vampire and original werewolf. I'm like, just that whole thing is like, for me, it was like, what am I watching? And they nailed it. So, but
yeah, I think for me to and they did nail it. And like I said, I think the action was revved up in this one, which it always is in sequels, right, Josh?
Yeah.
So like you see more action in the second movie a lot of times. So I think that made it good. But I think just the whole lore of like the whole vampire house amongst us, like today,
right?
You know, I thought was pretty dope in the first one, and that just the introduction of the whole light bullets, and I think the introduction for me, and this and normally it's not, but in this series, it was better for me after watching them again. Even though I love Evolution, don't get me wrong. So
I think what I agree with you. Well, I definitely like this better. But I think that the first movie was so well done. It was like no holes almost.
Yeah, it was like perfect almost. Yeah.
And the fact that it was the very first. So you started a new IP and just nailed it. And to have two different iconic creatures in one movie. So yeah, that's hard to look back and be like, no, I don't know who could say this movie was like bad, you know, unless they just not into sci-fi or, you know. So yeah, part one was
awesome. I wouldn't have left disappointed. Yeah, it was great. I thought just from me being a movie fan, I thought the first one was better written wise, like the dialect when I watched and I listened to the back and forth and things like that.
And
but that's just me. But it's like
you know. So yeah,
I'm sorry. It's like 1 and 1/8. It's not like hard, but I think the first one's slightly a little better for me. That's all. Yeah.
I feel like the first one that's good. The first one should because it was so good. The first one should be they should have did as much as they could for the first one, because the introduction of something is really important, right? So like you know, the first time you see something is really important. So it's really key that they really nailed it. For this, they just had to overlap onto it, you know.
Yeah,
and so you could feel it. You definitely could feel part one was more solid. I'm just biasly love werewolves more than vampires.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like my reason is definitely like, oh yeah, like it's two things, right? It's what was better or what was your favorite. Underworld is better. Part one is a better movie, right?
Okay.
But my favorite
right.
is, you know. So I agree with you. I see what you're saying.
That's solid. What about you, Josh? Now that you watched the two movies back to back.
I would say I actually like the second one more. And I absolutely love the first one, but I just like the second one more. However, I think we can all agree that Michael was not used enough. But I guess that was to in terms of storytelling, build up the adversary of Marcus, which, you know, and Michael, which makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. And always. And speaking of fact, you like vampires. I mean, werewolves. Tony, what was that question you had for us during the movie? You want to ask
Absolutely.
Let me put my glasses on since I'm.
And I agree, Slayer Gaming. This should have been a video game in America, not just Europe. Completely.
Yeah, 100%. That's what we was talking about earlier. Like, dude, why is this not a game? And Josh actually looked it up and realized it was a game. But then I found out, yeah, it was only in Europe. What was the question I asked you guys?
Tony had a fantastic question, and it was the choice of being a vampire, so being turned into a vampire, or a lycan. So we'll also put that to the audience as well. Which one you would prefer? I'm actually curious about that.
Yeah, thank you. I was trying to remember my question. Like, wait.
Old age gets to you sometimes, I guess.
Right? Oh yeah, so that was my question to you guys, because I wanted to hear what did you guys, and then I was going to add on it. But Mike, you want to go first because you were saying that you know why you can explain why you would rather be a vampire versus a werewolf.
So, like I said during the thing, I think this question is interesting because I think it kind of depends on which lore you go by a little bit too, and which rules you follow. Because you know, vampire and werewolf movies have different sets of rules, so I think that's part of it. But overall, I think vampires are just cooler. I want to say that, like, they just have like a swag. You know what I mean? All about them, and I think that's a part of it too. The whole leather. You know, a lot of them have shades and stuff like that. They just have a cooler swag to me. And I think for me, it's like I have to leave in the daytime and whatnot. So that's definitely a fault.
Right.
But I feel like I wouldn't want to be like a full transformation. Like vampires kind of transform with maybe the fangs a little bit, but it's never a full transformation. And I feel like I wouldn't want that. I would rather be able to say definitely vampire. I wouldn't want to be able to, you know, be a whole monster and then come back. I wouldn't mind getting some extra strength, getting some fangs, and then still being me, but not that. So that's just my thing. So
yeah, I think that is a good point. One of the flaws to being a werewolf is almost the Incredible Hulk type thing, right? Dr. Jekyll Hyde. You're a regular human, and then if you go by the lore of only when the full moon comes, or if you go by, you could even turn at will. You're this creature, this beast, right? So if you look at like, okay, if we had superpowers, what would you do? And some people might say, oh, I could teleport because you want to teleport to a vacation spot. Well, vampires have more benefits because they can still look like they're human and people wouldn't really know. So it's almost like, well, what's the benefit of being a werewolf, right? Like not many benefits, but I just feel like I always felt werewolves was more cool. The whole, like, you know, when they transform, they're so menacing. But I guess if you look at it as a 2020 type thing, like, well, what are you gonna do if you're a vampire? Are you going on vacation? I mean, a werewolf? Or are you gonna go on vacation as a werewolf? Like, yes, you're right. But I'm a werewolf guy, you know.
Yeah, I think it's that. I think because I can like fit in, you know, let's say at night or whatever, but I can fit in at a party as a vampire and still be like extra strong. Where like a werewolf, sometimes you have to like transform in order to be more intimidating. So that's kind of like, you know.
And then I guess if you're a werewolf, you'll be ruining a lot of clothes.
Yeah,
or you'd be running around naked a lot.
You definitely posed a great point, and I would also agree with the point about vampires being cool. So they would be at all the coolest clubs. They would be in all the elegant places, looking fly and all that. And
Right.
like you said, you can fully integrate, right? So you get to have your cake and eat it too, essentially.
Right.
Yeah, that's my point. But as far as power, I agree with you guys too. Like as far as that raw power, werewolf's probably a little tougher than vampire.
But here's the thing: you guys bring up another fantastic point because, and depending on the lore, when you're a werewolf, you go further than Hulk. So you're ripping everyone to shreds. It doesn't matter if they're your kin, your blood. They're done.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, like Blade, right? Blade was a daywalker. So depending on the lore, I could be a vampire too. You know what I'm saying? So it really depends on.
Yeah, that was kind of special though. Like that, I felt like. Remember, not everybody got to be a daywalker, and just like Underworld, not everybody got to be like Michael. He was a hybrid, so he could go out in the daytime. So he really talk about best of both worlds.
Yes,
he could change at will. He was strong like a werewolf. He was fast like he was both. You know,
and like you said, his full change wasn't so like huge. He could change it, especially with regular clothes.
He could change and go to a Halloween party.
Right.
Like, his makeup is on point. He'd be like,
that's what I'm saying. So he's probably the best of both worlds. I would say that. 100%. So
now let me ask you this. Do you think would you like to be Michael or Blade?
Man, that's
got some benefits, but
I'm gonna say Blade because Blade's cooler. I'm sorry to say once again, man. Blade is just cool dude, leather jacket. He knew. That's what I don't get, honestly, though. A lot of these things that just happened with Michael, right? Okay. I get you get, whatever, and you get super strong and all this other stuff. But how do you actually learn combat skills because you became a werewolf? And this what makes me mad in a lot of movies. And stuff
be fair. So when you watch Michael and pay attention, and I love the choreograph, dude, he didn't have no combat skills. When he fought, he just swung with his hands out, scratching. If you paid attention,
that one scene on the back of the truck against Marcus, he did like a back jump. He was like ducking stuff. Like,
all he did. I remember he slash and did a spinning back slash. That was it.
Where did you get that spinning back slash from? Like he doing combat?
He's a spinning back slash.
His powers are growing. That's congruent with the story. Right. And I do have to agree. He did fight like he didn't know what he was doing.
Yeah, he didn't.
That's how I looked at it.
I feel like that spinning backslash was just the momentum. He was just wildly swinging. He looked like he could have been a girl.
And then you also have superhuman instinct, so that's why you can duck things, right? If a punch is coming, you're not.
Like in the first movie, maybe. By that movie,
hit you. No, I'm
by that movie, he seemed like he had a little more combat skills than me.
If you rewatch this movie, everything he did was like primal. All he did was
I will. I mean, I was talking to you guys a little bit, so maybe that's why I'm thinking about it. But you're right. So maybe I'll rewatch it at some point.
Because I was thinking about that when he was on the back of the truck. Remember, I was setting it up. I was like, "Oh, this was a really good chase scene." Like definitely, it was just
because a lot of movies people get a power and then they're like, super combat. That was an argument for was it the one that came out this year. What's her name? The one with the Joker. The girl that had the movie this year. Harley. Yeah, people were like, when did she get to become a freaking like ninja? Whatnot? Like walking the movie, stuff like that. So, and those people was like, a little gripe about that. So that happens a lot in movies to me, a little bit. So I don't know.
I agree. That does, yeah. But I think they was careful with this. If you do look back at it, like I don't feel like he did, because I feel like when you train as a fighter, martial arts, like you have a certain stance, you have a certain punch. He was just swinging, like, you know what I'm saying?
Back to your question, that's why I would take Blade. Blade was a martial artist.
Yeah.
Blade had skills. Like, I'll take a Blade. I'm sorry. So, matter of fact, I want to go back and watch Blade now because,
Dude, listen, I'm telling you, I said it before. When we was talking about this, it was like, you was like, oh, one of y'all guys was like, yeah, they introduced the light bullets. I was like, dude, they did it in Blade. Like, Blade was ahead of his time, I'm telling you. If you go back and watch
Blade doesn't get the credit it deserves because it was ahead of his time. And he also, everybody likes Black Panther, of course, Josh, but Blade was really the first black, comic book character on screen, really, stuff like that. And he don't get the credit he deserves. And those were Marvel. Blade saved Marvel, honestly, because those were Marvel movies actually. So it's interesting.
I don't think a lot of people realized it though. A lot of people's like, "Oh, this Blade dude," They didn't. Blade never gets that credit as far as like a good comic book movie.
Wait, didn't Wesley Snipes say that too when Black Panther came out and they thought he was a hater?
They did, but I don't know why they thought he was a hater. I don't because it really was like Marvel was going bankrupt, the comic book entity, and Blade kind of saved them because they made money as a movie, stuff like that,
and a franchise because they had a trilogy, right?
Yeah, trilogy. Yeah, didn't have Triple H was in Blade. Matter of fact,
yeah, he's in Blade Part 3.
Yeah, Blade Trinity. Think about it. And Ryan Reynolds.
And Ryan Reynolds, yeah, and Jessica Biel.
Jessica Biel, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's an Entourage throwback.
Yeah. The bad thing is that movie was bad.
It was. Blade Trinity was horrible, but Blade 1 and 2 were great actually. So we gotta watch those one day. To me, Josh, my thing. But Josh, we have more topics about what's going on in the movies today we want to talk about, right? Besides our
Absolutely. So perhaps we should get into actually, you guys talk about who's going to be playing the new Blade.
Oh, Mahershala Ali, actually.
Right.
Yeah.
And we actually have a guest joining us via Wakandan satellite. What up, cuz? Can you hear us?
I don't think he can.
Yo, Jay.
He's watching TV and watching us.
Yo, what's going on, gentlemen?
All right. So yeah, you want to talk about who's playing Blade next?
Yeah, did you see that casting, Tony? What do you think about that from Mahershala?
You know what? I'm gonna look it up right now. Is that the only person they have in the movie that's casted?
Yeah, for Blade, yeah, himself. Yeah, that's it. Well, Josh,
what's the cast of Blade?
Mahershala Ali is casted to play Blade.
Yeah. I thought they announced more cast members.
Yeah, he can pull that off.
Yo, cuz, how did you feel about Wesley Snipes and Blade and the Blade franchise and trilogy?
He loved it.
I don't think he could hear us. Oh yeah, he
went to mute and then it came off. I think he's trying to get his sound together.
Yeah, I am.
All right, that makes sense.
I thought Mahershala. Let's go back to that. I thought my issue. I think I told Josh this in the early mental theater. I thought he might be too old to start a whole new franchise for Blade. That's my only issue. But I think he can definitely play the part. He's a great actor either way.
I think because of Blade's character, we could get away with it. I feel like Blade being a vampire, they could kind of get it. They don't need this young guy that, like, when you think of other movies, think of like you want to see them looking young for so long, right? You don't want to see them looking old. Blade character is just this gritty day walking guy. I don't need him to be like the super young looking guy. You know what I'm saying? The Blade character, like I don't need to be like, oh, how old was he in this movie? Like in the lore. I just need him to act the part. Like that's one guy I don't think about as far as aging going. I feel like, dude, he's a day walking guy. Like he could have a movie where he get burnt up a little bit. Like,
Yeah, see that too. I mean, well, to your point, the vampire himself has been around how many years? So you don't know how old he is, really. Be honest.
Right, exactly. So. It's like Wolverine. I don't even need a really young dude to be Wolverine. Now, but like if they're gonna redo a Captain America, if they're gonna redo somebody else, like I need some years. And then when I'm looking at him, I want to be like, okay, he has to still look young. You know what I'm saying?
That's my only thing. If you're gonna do a new franchise, let's say it lasts 10 years. Right. How are you gonna look in 10 years? And like let's say the third or fourth movie. That's what I think about. Like not necessarily this movie, but the later movies and whatnot.
Yeah, so in my head, Blade doesn't bother me for that. You know what I'm saying? But other characters would bother me.
I feel like we got to get an origin story for him too, right? Or no?
You have to. Yeah, you have to.
Yeah, you have to.
You reimagining an iconic character. So we all want to see his mom get bit by a vampire while she was pregnant with him because that's how he became a daywalker.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Mahershala, like I said, and Luke Cage, the first season, he was so good in that. Like he's a good actor. So especially those first 6-7 episodes. So, phenomenal. But you have news about your boy about Batman, right, Josh? About
Mr. Robert Pattinson, and so Mike, I had my say, and I'll get into that as well.
Because I can't hear you at all.
You wanted to save your.
Hey, Josh, because they can't hear you at all.
Wait, really?
You can hear us though.
Wait, can y'all hear me?
I can hear y'all perfectly. I can't hear Cuz.
Interesting. Can y'all hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah, we hear you.
Yeah.
Huh. That's very interesting.
Yeah, I don't know what that would be about.
I don't need it. Probably the over the top sound equipment.
Possibly. Bless you, whoever that was.
Sandy Cheeks, as you like to refer to her.
Yo, so Mike, could you go into your points about Batman? Because apparently Robert Pattinson has not been working out at all, allegedly.
Right.
While doesn't feel the need to.
Yeah. And Zoe Kravitz has been working out 5 times a day for the role of Catwoman.
So he's not working out. I feel like he doesn't need to work out. I feel like that he doesn't want to set a precedent that to be Batman would be you got to be in this excellent shape. From what I read,
right?
Anyway, ever since the quarantine kind of happened, he hasn't been doing anything. I feel like I don't know. It's weird. He will have this suit on, so it really depends on how they're trying to portray Batman. Because if you remember, like going backwards, like Michael Keaton wasn't in great shape when he was Batman, but if you look at like going forward to especially the Ben Affleck, he had a whole workout montage in the movie. He was like lifting tires and stuff like that.
You know what I think started the whole you have to work out thing was Tobey Maguire when they made him Spider-Man and they had him take his shirt off and people. So you remember Tobey Maguire is a little dude and then he was like ripped and then it was a big deal like, oh, people are working out for the movie. And then when 300 came out, it was a huge thing doing the 300 workout. Everybody had to have abs. But I kind of understand his point, but I also feel like what I will say is this. I feel like if you're a superhero and you're playing a role, if they have that shirt scene off, you gotta look the part. But I also feel like I feel bad when these guys work out. You only have like one scene real quick when your shirt is off. Like, dude, I did all of that for that. So
I've got a better question. What's the storyline that they're going with on this Batman?
He's going to be younger. It's going to be more of a detective.
Yeah, so I don't have a problem with it. I actually I might even encourage it a little bit more.
Okay.
Cuz has a problem with it because of all the lore behind it, and he's a DC dude. But yeah, please stop. But without knowing the storyline, because the storyline makes more sense.
Right.
Especially when you get into the latter Batman. So to give you an example, the Ben Affleck, the storyline that they went with for when Ben Affleck took on the role, he was an older, more grizzled Bruce Wayne. And they kind of blended some of the aesthetics from that storyline from another storyline. So you have I forget the name of the comic or the storyline that they were rolling with, but there's a really popular storyline that came out within the last 5 or 10 years where instead of Bruce Wayne's parents getting killed, Bruce Wayne got killed, and the Batman, mantle was picked up by his father. You follow what I'm saying? So you follow what I'm saying? Within that, he's an older, grizzled, more Batman. That guy, Thomas Wayne is running around with a shotgun and the cape and cowl on, right? So I felt like they took elements of that Batman and put it in with Ben Affleck, right? But not without knowing the storyline that they're going with. I don't know if it's, I don't know if it's worth me being upset about it.
Well, here's what I say. It depends on, again, like you said, storyline. For instance, if this is the guy who was if it's post trained by Ra's al Ghul, he better be in shape. If you was the master ninja and all that, then you gotta be in shape. But if not, then they could get away with it, you know. But remember, extensively, he pretty much was a ninja. Like, you know, when he went away and trained, you would think he should be in like super shape the way they make his character, you know, based off of when he was with Raja Ghul. So
I think it depends on like, because he already got in better shape if you look at the pictures like from before.
Yeah, so, I don't know what shape he looks. I mean, he could be looking great shape now. I don't know what he looked like.
Yeah, so I don't know if they want him to be like bigger, like Affleck was, but like he said, I think it depends on the storyline. So if he's like a good detective, like you said, more of a detective version, I don't feel like he's got to be all, you know, huge for that and stuff like that. So,
you know, there's another part of this that we're leaving out. Me and Cuz talked about it. Robert Pattinson might be on something that we may not be onto, which is the death of the big blockbuster movie, and you know, going to the theaters for it. So we don't, with this whole coronavirus shit, you don't know how that's going to even play into the role, and the delays, and if it becomes what we all think or hope that it's going to be. You know, Josh knows how I absolutely feel about this shit, which is I need another Batman movie like I need more debt, right?
Whoa, hold on. I might have finally met somebody I can converse with. I call myself the biggest Batman hater. So don't try to steal my thing. I hate Batman more than anybody. And me and Josh still haven't had our talk. Iron Man versus Batman. But
Batman, you know what, man? How many variations? We're not even going to factor in cartoons or anything like that.
Right.
How many different?
We lost him.
It's probably gonna come back because he was walking around.
You follow what I'm saying? Or maybe it's a collective, you know, totality of like 2 really good movies that we needed.
Right.
And then there's like 2 which were I can tolerate it, and then the rest is like I forget that those fucking movies exist until I hear somebody start talking shit about them.
Right.
You follow what I'm saying? Like Batman Begins is okay, but it's just okay. Like and at this point, I'm not even talking acting. I'm talking story.
Right.
You follow what I'm saying? Like the story is just okay because Ra's al Ghul and Liam Neeson, they're these big bads, and then you know, come the third act, Christian Bale gets rid of them pretty easily. You follow what I'm saying? Like really fucking easily.
And this is And this is why I personally like the one with Bane better. I feel like he had a better villain. Like,
and that was the one I was about to dig into next.
But
because that might be the most unbelievable one. Because I mean, lest we forget, in the actual fucking comic, he makes Batman a fucking paraplegic.
Oh yeah, the breaking of the back. Yeah,
bruh. He breaks Batman's back in Gotham City. He then takes him to some godforsaken third world country, leaves him in a fucking hole. And in the span of 30 days, and we know that it's only 30 days because that's what they tell us Pittsburgh is under quarantine then in 30 days in that fucking movie. Batman digs himself out. Wait. Before he digs himself out of the hole, his back heals up good enough. He gets enough strength in his back, which is like the hardest thing to fucking rehab from, right?
Right.
Climbs out of a fucking 1,500-foot hole that is essentially a prison. It's like, it's not even just him in there. It's essentially a fucking prison. You follow what I'm saying? It's like the shit from the Guardians of the Galaxy from the first one. Like they just put that shit in the middle of the fucking earth, right? And then he literally climbs up in that bitch in a third world country, what I assume to be the Middle East somewhere.
Turkey.
And while the rest of the world is looking at this American city being held hostage by this madman in a fucking breathing machine, he somehow, without his money at this point, keep in mind he's broke at this point, he doesn't have any money, he somehow makes it from the Middle East to into Gotham City and defeats Bane. Bruh, it's too much. It's too much, and I can't hear Josh. I wish I could really hear my cousin right now. I'm pretty sure I'm going to get a whole lot of text messages and a lot of hate for breaking down this hero like
that. Here's my issue with Batman. I don't want to be a hate on Batman, but here's my issue. My preference is I like superheroes. Batman is nowhere a superhero, so I feel like
Tony Stark has the same parameters as Batman.
Whoa, his suit could fly into outer space. Don't compare Batman and Iron Man. Don't ever do that. Don't ever do that.
Man, he's not super. There's no super there.
That suit makes him super. Let me bring it up.
Who's creating power?
All right, hold on.
Is his genes changing, or is this his mind manifesting matter?
I got you. You know where I'm gonna get you, Josh? Because he's pretty good at remembering what happened in Batman movies. How the hell did Batman?
All movies for that matter, Ant. All movies for that matter.
Okay, so remember what was the second one where Batman got bit up by the dog, so they had to change his suit and make it stronger. I'm like, you had a dog. You think that would happen to Iron Man? Iron Man wouldn't even notice a dog was tugging on his leg with his suit.
So your basis of super is by dog bites?
I mean, that could be my basis of saying how bad a superhero is.
This is great. You guys need to have that debate one day, like a full-fledged Iron Man versus Batman debate.
Josh couldn't even debate it. That killed it right there.
Okay, I just want to know, in a fist fight, who would win? Tony Stark?
Because it could be a whole lot worse for you. We could be sitting up here debating Superman.
Wait, say that again?
What's that, Jay? What'd you say?
He said it could be a whole lot worse. We could be debating Superman.
What's there to debate?
Technically, Batman beat Superman in the comics and the movies, though. So let's be clear about that.
So what's the debate?
Again, because they make Superman, be the farmer dude, like he's the super goody two shoe. So he don't see it coming.
But he lost. That's all I gotta say. He lost.
You're right.
You're
right.
Yeah.
But I mean, what's unfair to Superman is that they always give Superman limits, right? They always give him limits, and they always give him this sort of wholesome outlook on humanity, right? And they remove and as our society has gotten, has evolved from where those comics originated up until now, they've removed limits, or the moral limits that heroes were subjected to, right? And they've done this for everybody except for fucking Superman. This goes across Marvel, DC, whatever your poison is. This is what they've done, right? And for the most part, I'm okay with that. There's only one time that they removed those limits for Superman, and that was literally for a fucking video game that they ended up having to retroactively make into a fucking comic.
Right.
Injustice, which was the best look on Superman possible.
Yeah.
And, like they took some elements of that for that tragedy, which was Batman v Superman. And but still, to balance out the fact that you're fighting a living god, they still had to make Batman become victorious in the movie and in the fucking comic and in the fucking video game.
Well, the thing is
bullshit.
Batman has such a popularity that I feel like they always protect his image. Because he's popular, they won't show like what would really happen. It's like you can't like Josh had to do it again, protect his image. But who will win in the fist fight? Let's take your suit supposed to be superhero versus Iron Man supposed to be superhero. Who's gonna win?
Batman.
You're delusional.
I could actually read his lips as he said Batman without any hesitation.
I think you guys need to like plan both of your points, and I could be the moderator for Iron Man versus Batman. Like
the savant named Levant would thoroughly enjoy that, as would I.
I just feel like it's silly to do. The audience would be like, unless you're just a Batman fanboy, you'd be like, how does that even make sense? What?
How would Iron Man beat Batman? That's my question.
Well, first of all, Iron Man isn't.
Wait. So Jay can't hear you. Josh asks Ant, how would Iron Man beat Batman? Ant's about to answer.
Yeah, so I just want to put this out there, right? Remember, Iron Man isn't going to be like Superman. Listen, man, let's talk about this. Listen, Batman. If they came down to it, he's going to get a unibeam to the face. Across, probably a mile away and just be dead.
Really? And it's just going to happen?
I can't even believe that that's an actual question that Josh asked.
Yeah.
A unibeam? Really?
There's one hero that uses actual weapons. Like weapons that have defeated everybody from the Mandalorian to fucking Thanos. He shoots lasers out of his fucking hands, bro.
Right.
The best thing that we've seen Batman ever fucking do is throw a goddamn boomerang in the shape of a fucking bat.
Yes.
That's funny. That's funny though.
That's real.
Like, why? Hey, we're not trying to convince you on your fandom with Batman. We're actually just trying to put it in perspective for you that look, all of our heroes have fucking shortcomings. All of them have flaws within their stories and their adaptations. You're the only person to date that I know personally and have actually heard talk that believes that Batman is like as impenetrable as fucking Superman.
Right.
It's your love for Batman so unequivocally is almost like us not trying to, acknowledge that, Professor X is like the R. Kelly of the Marvel universe.
That's funny. He's your Professor X, Professor Kells. That's
Professor Kells, yeah.
Yeah, all them children under his roof. I'm just saying.
He didn't touch one?
Even in their mind, like, come on, he touched their mind.
All right, well, listen, I'm gonna help Josh out a little bit. Here's the thing about Batman, right? Because Batman, it's a strategy, which you guys are not thinking about. He has files and ways to beat everybody on the Justice League. Because just in case somebody gets out of place, he's ready for them because he already knows that he can't beat them.
Mike, have we heard this before? Did Tony Stark do the exact same thing for the Hulk?
What do you mean?
He always had something prepared in case someone got out of line.
Yes, he did. Yes, same thing. Yeah.
It makes sense because the creators created both superheroes, but please continue.
So that's why it's not more because of what the fans like. This is how he was created. Remember, he is a detective first and foremost. People forget that, which I guess we'll be reminded of in the next movie. World's greatest detective, quote unquote. So I feel like that's how he's able to beat them, just because he's smarter than them. Put it like that. He like strategy wise.
Let me ask you a serious question. You think Batman, you think Bruce Wayne is smarter than Tony Stark?
Okay, I put a caveat on that. Strategy wise, just like, okay, who's better strategy wise, Cap or Tony Stark?
Because Tony's not even better than Star-Lord.
Tony.
No way.
Tony and I can explain it.
All right, I'm listening.
Tony and I can explain it, and they've already shown us it.
I'm gonna take this. We'll go grab my soda out the fridge.
Yeah, Josh, I got to defend you on this a little bit, Josh. They're kind of killing with Batman, but we lost him again. I got to get him back. I want to hear his explanation. But
because maybe he'll come back and be able to hear me. So that would be cool. Cuz, can you hear me now?
Yo, can everybody hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah. Well, you're about to explain it, then we lost you. What happened? Explain it first.
Yeah, you was about to say that they already showed that Tony was better at strategy.
He can't hear us at all now.
No, I can hear you. What was that? What did you say?
You
were about to say
that you were just about to explain how they already showed in the movies that Tony Stark was better at strategies.
Oh, true. The only Avenger that sees the Avengers even coming together, is Tony Stark. They Nick Fury and Agent Coulson from the beginning try to keep Tony in as much, in the dark as much as possible from the rip. You follow what I'm saying? But he gets it in the Avengers Part 1. Like, he absolutely fucking gets it. That's why they say, yo, we want Iron Man. We don't want Tony Stark. We don't want the asshole. We really just want the technology and the fucking unlimited funding, right? So that's what they tell him. And then in the Avengers Part 2, Tony's the one that sees all of us are going to fucking die. He doesn't understand how they're going to die. He doesn't understand what force is going to bring them all to death. But Tony does see, yo, we're all going to fucking die.
Yeah, he says,
funny enough,
he says we have to prepare for the end game.
There you go. Funny enough, he doesn't see a black superhero. He doesn't see the fucking lesbian superhero that they're going to introduce, because that's Captain Marvel. And he doesn't see a rocket with a fucking machine gun either. But yeah, he pretty much, foresees the deaths of all of the original fucking Avengers. And it's at that point that he makes that decision that, yo, if it comes down to it, I'm prepared to die for my niggas. You follow what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And in the end game, he actually does that. And I don't know if I've ever seen Batman, any superhero for that matter, really put that shit on the line like that. Outside of fucking Spider-Man.
I mean, in that case, yeah, but I was talking about strategy-wise. If you watch all the Avengers movies, Tony provides the tech, but then Cap calls out the plan. He says, look, you go here, Hulk smash, Thor, you do this. Cap is a strategic planner.
Well, hold on. If you're talking about strategies, Tony probably came up with the best strategy, period. Again, he said, we should have, and he argued with Captain America about it. I told you we should have protected the Earth. We should have set stuff in place to protect the Earth. Talk about strategy. He foresaw that impending doom was going to come, and he wanted to prepare them to be protected. So come on.
But even when they got to Sokovia, when they got there, what he say? Tony, you go to the church. Thor, you do this. Hawkeye, you do this. Cap is the leader. He's the one telling them what to do.
It's fine. We're not talking about who's the leader. We're talking about strategies.
Who's on the strategy out?
So let me jump in here, Mike. I feel where you're coming from, right? Like I completely get it. But I think what's not being said here is, or what's being said here is the overuse of the term or the word strategy, right? Because it's 4 black men on the phone and or on this call, and we all have different, expectations or even beliefs as to what strategy is, right?
Okay.
So what you're describing with Cap is more of a war strategy, right? Cap is a soldier. Like he makes no mistake about being a soldier. He doesn't make any arguments about that shit. That's what the fuck he is. You take him out of being a soldier, strategy goes out the fucking window. He can't understand none of this shit. You follow what I'm saying? Keep in mind.
Good point.
This nigga's been asleep for 70 years. He woke up, they was like, yo, go fight, nigga. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, here's what Times Square looks like right now. Oh, by the way, there's a living God that crossed dimensions. We got to take him the fuck down, right?
Right.
That's what it is. Strategy that I'm talking about with Tony Stark is not having that same kind of, strategical mind when it comes to war, but having a strategical mind to be able to organize and plan for everything that's thrown his way.
Right.
Within war and outside of the war. You follow what I'm saying? And keep in mind, everybody has an opportunity to deal with this shit outside of the war. We've seen what it looks like when they're playing the political game, courtesy of Captain America movies, and the movie where where they get to play the political game the most.
Yes, Minnesota.
Civil War.
Oh yeah, Civil War. That's more political.
It's way more political. You follow what I'm saying? And when it comes to that, Cap on the surface of shit is like, yo, nah, I don't fuck with none of this shit because it reminds me of this. And Tony's looking at him like, my nigga, I understand you look at it this way, but this is how we live now. And these are the times we live in now. And if we don't do this shit, not only are we going to deal with whoever the fuck is in outer space and coming out here to whip our ass, we got to deal with the fucking American government.
Right.
Yep.
That's a man putting forth and putting forth a strategy and adapting into strategies to bend his will towards it.
I hear what you're saying. I think when it comes to just focusing on an individual, though, to take them out, I will focus on Batman because Batman's villains, we can all agree, are more powerful than he is. Besides maybe Joker and stuff like that. And the fact that he
they're
can,
more no. They're more iconic than he is.
He got the wackest villains.
They're
Batman?
more iconic.
Yeah.
They all have actual power where he's just a man in the suit. They got
Bane. Bane is just a muscle bound dude. Ra's al Ghul is just a ninja. The Joker is just a lunatic. Like the Two-Face just a dude with a burnt half of a face. Like, can we go on? Like, he got like 3 villains that got powers. Like,
how about Clayface?
But the three villains he's got, Ant, are like 3 of the top 5 most well-known villains in comic book history.
Oh, well known. You could give them that, but not really. Like who name them? Like, who's well known that's like super powerful that Batman is like. Batman's like.
I'm not saying super powerful. Like, I make no mistake about that.
But that's what Mike was trying to say. Mike was trying to. That's my argument. Mike was trying to say like Batman villains are so powerful. Like, powerful to who in the Batman world?
I think where Mike was trying to go. I think where Mike was trying to go with it was more or less just saying like, yo, Batman has the best villains, right? So if we're discussing, the dichotomy between DC and Marvel, right? Marvel has way better heroes.
Yes.
Pound for pound, they have way better heroes. Because once you get past Batman and Superman, you maybe Green Lantern, whatever.
Right.
You're gonna struggle to name. You're gonna struggle to round out a top 10 list of DC superheroes.
No, you definitely are. Good.
You're gonna struggle, man. You could get to 5, maybe 6, and even for a dude like me who understands this shit, watches this shit, reads this shit, it's gonna be a fucking struggle, right? Marvel wins the superhero debate. DC unequivocally wins the supervillain debate.
No, I definitely.
You follow what I'm saying?
Hence the dark world of the DC universe. That's what they.
Name a powerful villain. Name a powerful villain.
Oh, so you can hear me. Oh, all right. So yes. So again, everything that you're saying, and this is what I kept saying to Mike. Everything that you're saying for Tony does apply to Batman as well. So what's the extra edge? Is the laser beams? Because that's all I'm hearing.
No, I mean, he definitely is a lot. Listen.
One of them niggas has been to outer space.
Thank you.
And the other one hasn't.
Thank you.
Sorry. Did who built the what's it? The Justice League space station? Did Bats do that as well?
Josh, let me just say something. If Tony grabbed Batman and flew into outer space, who's surviving out of them two?
And you think you still, and here's the part, Mike, that they keep missing. They still believe that Batman is not prepared. Tony's prepared for everything. Batman is prepared for everything. This is why I like them both equally. This aesthetic, for me personally, I like Bats more, right?
But answer my question. Tony grabbed him and flying to outer space. Who's surviving?
He just said Batman will be prepared. So he's going to survive.
Batman will be prepared. That's your only argument. So this is what you trying to say.
And the crazy part is, Mike, we actually saw Tony Stark, the real Tony Stark Sr., fail as well, which is what you're alluding to.
Your only argument is that every second of the day, Batman is prepared for anything. That's silly. But that's
unbelievable.
Tony.
You're trying to make it like
no.
You're trying to make it like.
Go ahead, Jay.
Add some logic here, cuz please. Thank you.
There's a difference. The first 2 Iron Man movies, they go into really great detail in trying to show you that Iron Man has that Tony has thought of every conceivable idea of what type of bullshit he could find himself into. So he's created an Iron Man suit for that, right? Like I said, the first 2 Iron Mans, they go into great detail to fucking prove this to you. And then by the second Avengers, they actually show it to you in the form of the Hulkbuster suit, right? What you're telling me, cuz, is that Batman. Let me ask you a question, right? might sound a little gay, but walk with me here, right? What size waist you think Batman is?
I honestly don't know.
I don't know.
36?
Yeah,
I'll put him somewhere between put him somewhere between the 34 and the 36. I sell clothes for a living, so I'll throw him somewhere between the 34 and the 36.
All right.
Have you ever seen a belt of a nigga that wears a 34? They not that big. They not that long. Everything that Batman has and prepares himself for is thrown onto his fucking utility belt of a nigga that wears a 34. He cannot possibly be that fucking prepared for this much shit, bro.
Yo, that is.
It was a 34.
Like
again,
that. Realism.
Are you willing to test it?
I mean,
I'm pretty sure he'll pass the test. That's Batman. That's the character.
Hold on, stop. Hey, Josh, you keep forgetting the smoking gun is in the Batman movie. He got attacked by a dog and damn near got bit up and had to go back and get his suit. Was he prepared for that dog? I don't think he was.
But guess what? He also has help. He got Lucius. He got Alfred. It's more than just Batman. He got help too.
They should have never put that scene in the movie. That should have never.
Only in the new fucking Batman does he have Alfred. In the Batmans that we grew up on, from the comic books to the Michael Keaton movie, Alfred, he wasn't what he is. He wasn't no Michael Caine.
Yeah,
that's true.
He wasn't the mercenary anymore. I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, you call it what it is. Look, I understand this DC shit, cuz I understand your anger in Robert Pattinson deciding, not to work out for it. But to be completely honest with you, the first installment of his check is already cleared, and all signs point to us never going into a fucking movie theater again.
Well, you know what? Hold that thought, Jay. Let's talk about that, because we were talking about topics about like what was the drive-ins opening up and stuff like that. Right. So, do you think that's going to be the next wave, Jay, or what you think, as far as the movie theaters are concerned? We talk about that a lot on the show.
Video on demand, and me and Cuz talked about it, right?
Uh-huh.
Video on demand has shown itself to be the gift that keeps on giving, and they were trying to make this a bigger thing before this, and now you almost have no other, you almost have no other reason for it not to be big, right?
Right.
Drive-ins are they're different. You follow what I'm saying? Like that's a different sort of experience. I've done a couple drive-ins in my life. It's okay. You follow what I'm saying? Cuz I tell you, I'm a movie dude. Like, so, I'm the one hood nigga at 10:30 on a Friday morning or 6:30 on a Thursday evening, surrounded by a bunch of nerds walking into the newest comic book movie, right?
And you both,
like I'm that guy, right? And yeah, those movies, there remains to be seen on how this shit affects those, right? Because you don't know, like, I asked Cuz this when we talked about it last week, so I'll share this part of the conversation with you. Last year, how many movies came out that were smash successes, right? And Cuz struggled to answer the question, right? So really, there were only two that were billion-dollar smash successes. One is Avengers, the other one is Spider-Man. They both came out in 2019, right?
Okay, I'm gonna go with you on this. Go ahead.
Walk with me. Those movies probably aren't that affected, right? It's those mid movies. It's those movies that cap out at 100, 150 million that you got to fucking worry about. That's where the economy of movies exists. You follow what I'm saying? That sweet spot between 70 and 150 million is really where the economy of films exists. And I don't know if there's a movie that falls in that range where I personally, the movie nigga, right? Like the guy that I can tell you right now, over the course of the last 3 or 4 years, I personally may have spent upwards of $3,000 going to see fucking movies, right? I got 2 kids. I got nieces and nephews. You follow what I'm saying? Like every time I hit the fucking movies, this shit is gonna cost me $150 fucking dollars. Marvel is in their 3rd fucking phase over the last 3 to 5 fucking years, bro. There's been at least 10 fucking Marvel movies drop out this bitch, right?
Right.
So, and you know, I'm not even including date nights with my wife. So
right.
It's those $70 to $150 million movies where it's like, yo, nigga, I'd much rather watch this shit in my crib. And me and Cuz were talking about this from the perspective of the Trolls World Tour movie, where it was like, yo, in their first 3 weeks on demand, video on demand, they made $10 million less than they did the first 3 weeks of the original one being in theaters. Now, the way the economics breaks down, both movies barely broke even because they spent a shit ton of money on fucking marketing, right?
Right.
But the CEO of DreamWorks pretty much counted that shit as a victory, and I could not disagree with him because his outlook on it was this. When we started marketing Trolls World 2, nigga, the country was still open.
Right.
And the country was still going to be open. And then the country shut down literally a month before we were going to roll the son of a bitch out. And through adapting to that and taking this risk of, you know, going straight to video on demand, we were still able to not lose any money off of the fucking, you know, off of the film. The economy that's hurt in this is not Hollywood and it's not the fans. The economy that's hurt is the middleman. The middleman being the movie theater industry.
Right.
Which, to be completely honest with you, I'm in the retail industry. I'm in the wholesale industry. You always hear about how outdated the retail models are and it's moving to online, so forth, so on, right? You can jerk off on whatever fucking theories you've heard on that, right? But one of the fucking industries that they never fucking focus on is just how outdated the movie theater industry is. You follow what I'm saying? Like, we're all grown ass men. We just got it to a point where every movie theater has stadium seating and every movie theater has a seat in it that on the surface you wouldn't mind sitting in. When we were younger men in our teens, maybe even as children, yeah, to get that kind of experience, we had to go deep into the suburbs to achieve that shit, right? The movie theater industry is behind us in adapting and giving us what we need. And with what you need to feel safe to go into a movie theater now, in terms of, you know, safety and all of the health regulations that comes with that, and still try to fucking turn a profit, nah, the shit can't exist.
So what you're saying is that you would still maybe take a chance safety wise for a big blockbuster, but for those middle movies, you're like, nah, I just watch them at home. That's what I'm hearing. I'm hearing you right,
bro. You're hearing both ways.
And on
there's certain movies that beg to be seen on the big screen.
I didn't get a chance to
right? Like, I could talk as much shit as I want to talk about Batman, right? But I would still want to see all 3 of the Nolan Batmans, and even that godforsaken Batman v Superman movie in theaters first. Right? Let alone us talking about Endgame. I want to see that in theaters. But the most successful black movie that came out last year was Queen and Slim. I could have lived with that on the 80-inch television I got in my motherfucking living room.
That makes sense, actually.
But once again, we're talking about movies that we're comparing movies that crossed over the $500 million threshold to a movie whose sweet spot was somewhere between 70 and 150 million.
Gotcha.
Made on a $20 to $25 million budget.
Right.
So it depends on how you want to cut it. It depends on how you want to fucking look at it. But if we're talking about the economics that goes into how a movie theater is run, Mike, movie theaters can't even fucking keep up. Their whole thing is governed by volume, maximizing the most amount of fucking dollars per square foot possible. They're run almost with the same sort of mind thought process as a department store, right?
Yeah, Josh was saying that before. Like, even if they were to open to, let's say, 50% capacity, they would still lose so much money on a regular basis.
And excuse me, guys. Tony has to get off. So Tony Stark Jr., we're just going to say thank you for joining us. We'll see you later.
Yeah, man. It's good talking to you, Jay.
Always, Ant. Nice meeting you too, baby.
Definitely. Later. All right, Mike.
Yep. So yeah, 50% capacity. I don't think they still would be a loss for them, right?
Is the only way that they can make up the difference would be to increase prices across the board. And I'm gonna be completely honest with you. There's not enough souvenir fucking cups that can go along that they could offer me that would justify a $25 fucking soda.
However, I'm gonna play devil's advocate, one of my cousin's favorite films and an amazing film as well.
It is.
What if Jeff Bezos, takes some money out of his seat cushion and purchases AMC, right? Yeah. For $5 billion, wipes out all their debt, keeps the management the same, and then incorporates some of Amazon's innovative solutions, such as imagine being able to get the things like this, all the comic book paraphernalia that you can get at the film, and then you can walk out with it as opposed to waiting for it. Like, that would be an incentive to go into the theaters.
Once again, so let's unpack everything you said. I'm sorry, Mike. Let me jump at my cousin real fast. Have any of you guys ever seen Cadillac Records?
I know Mike must have, right?
It's low key one of my favorite movies. In the movie, what's the dude that was on Scandal? He looks at Adrian Brody and calls him, "Oh, you my white daddy," right? And my nigga Peoples from Shaft has to break down to Adrian Brody what he means when he keeps calling him his white daddy, right? So I'd like to point out that Jeff Bezos can't be society's white daddy all the fucking time, right? Like, he can't just keep bailing us the fuck out off of bullshit, right? And we look at his capitalistic nature, and we look at it from such a good humor or good natured point of view, and it's not. Nobody that's a capitalist has, an ounce of above the 50% moral threshold, and most of us tend to hover somewhere between 10 and 15%, right? So, and I'm just being honest about that, right? So that's number one. So that should have never fucking happened. And number two, once again, you're using comic book movies. You're using movies that have you're using theoretical IPs that have a built-in fan base, where that fan base, like, if Disney announced that, yo, when this quarantine shit is lifted, every Disney movie that was on the fucking slate, that was slated to drop over the next 3 years, is going to be released on time on Disney Plus, and we're raising the price to $14.99 a month. And we're not giving you any sort of fucking grace period or any sort of trial period. If Disney announced that shit, which they very well could, and they could put other sort of strategic things in place, that completely protects Disney. Because one of the things that you have to ask yourself is, even with the amount of password sharing that happens amongst our, our streaming services, how much money does fucking Netflix make a month? Like every 30 days, how much money, like not profited, but what is their gross income every 30 days? Right? So you have to ask yourself, like, yo, how many people pay their Netflix bills, right? And there's 7 billion people in the fucking world. And what would you put that shit at?
Right? No, I get you. But here's the thing. If you have it where you can watch all on demand or watch it on a Disney Plus streaming service, the difference is that you can have 15 people at your house watch Black Widow instead of 15 people paying for 15 tickets. So Disney still takes a loss in that way because you're only paying for one streaming service in that way.
Disney does not take a loss. Disney does not. If you're Disney, what means more to you? The 6 films that you drop a year that could possibly make $1 billion, which means $6 billion,
right?
Or the 100 million people that are willing to pay $15 a month.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the price, on the price they charge. Yeah, I agree with that. But look at your house right now. You just say you take your kids and your wife there. That's 4 tickets right there alone, right? But if you all could watch in the same house for $15, like you said,
we paid for Trolls. We had family movie night, and we watched Trolls World Tour
for $20. But y'all would have paid $80 to go to the movies to see it.
Probably would have been more than that. It would have been it would have been $15 a ticket, which is $45 right there, and then soda wise, we're looking at another $30 in just drinks, and then quite possibly another $40 in fucking finger foods and snacks. So yeah, it would have been more than that. But once again, the movie studio didn't lose all of that income. The movie theater did.
The same way that people are now taking chances of getting haircuts and getting their nails done and going to wherever they're going to, they don't take a chance to go to the movies when it opens up. I'm telling you, it's not going to not be there. That's my thought process.
Quite possibly.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't personally. I'm with you. I would see a blockbuster, and I can walk to my movie theater. So I literally would go like early for anybody goes on a weekday to like be as safe as possible. But everybody, in a different situation. So
the way this conversation came about between me and Cuz, Mike, was the fact that I told Cuz, like, yo, they have to put a barrier between every seat, almost like a dome, right? And if you're thinking about any of these big chains, that's going to come at a premium. That's going to come at a premium from achieving the materials to even achieving the company that's going to be contracted to install that, right?
Yeah.
So, if we're looking at a company like AMC, which is just filed chapter, right?
Yeah.
Can they afford to invest $250 million into their existing property just to try to break even? Or can you find an investor that will take on everything that AMC has to offer, which is a diminishing product at this point?
Yeah.
And look at it from a best case scenario sort of thing. Because the thing is, Disney can't ramp up. They can't throw more property. They can't throw more product into the pipeline. Period.
Yeah.
Right? And unfortunately, cause I know you're not going to want to hear this shit, but I'll say it. Disney doesn't have anything anybody fucking wants that they could fucking ramp up. So right now, you're at the mercy of, once again, those films that fall between the $70 to $150 million threshold, And what do you do with those? Because that's where the movie theaters make their fucking money. The date night movies.
I know. All right. And here's the thing. Like Mulan is still scheduled for late July. Like that's his newest release date now. That's a Disney movie. Yeah, but I want to talk about Mulan because Mulan had, is a Disney movie and whatnot, and Tenet too. But Mulan actually already started marketing. Remember, like before this all happened, so they're already kind of in the hole. Mulan. So, Jay, what do you think? You think they keep their release date for late July, or you think that's too early for them? So,
I think that would be the perfect movie for Disney to drop on Disney Plus.
Gotcha. Okay.
If we're talking about an opportunity where Disney could like Disney is all about like Mike, I'm in the retail business. I'm in the wholesale business. I sell clothes, right?
Okay.
The biggest monster in the room at all times is Nike. Right?
Yes. Yeah.
Whether you have a Nike account or not, they're the biggest dick, and they're the Lexington Steel of this shit. You follow what I'm saying? Like, bro, it's like, oh, here come this nigga with this motherfucker. You follow what I'm saying?
And, I don't like the account. I get it. Yeah.
And bruh, I'm not even gonna bullshit you. To be completely honest with you, they flex way more than they have to.
Yeah.
Like they completely flex way more than they have to. I go to Vegas twice a year, right? So twice a year, I have the opportunity to make my salary for the next 6 months or greater, right? My biggest customer is DTLR. They own Sneaker Villa, right?
Okay.
3-4 years ago, guess what Nike started doing? They started coming to Vegas too. But they weren't exhibiting in the trade show with the rest of us. At first, they started exhibiting at the Red Rock Casino. You know that 6-star casino that's 20 miles off the fucking strip? That's where Nike was exhibiting, which made it difficult for your customers to come see you. And there's only 3 days on the fucking trade show. And Nike's going to take up a day and a fucking half. Now, they're not going to take a day and a half with every fucking customer, but they're going to take a day and a half with the niggas you absolutely need to fucking see. Because those is the niggas that's going to pay your salary for the fucking year. And then each year it got more egregious. So it started off with them doing that shit. And then it made its way to the last time I was in Vegas in February. Nike said, fuck all that shit. My top 50 doors, my top 50 customers, y'all niggas got to come to Portland. And y'all can only come to Portland on these dates.
Oh, that's messed up.
So I had, so I literally had my biggest customer fly into the show for literally 18 hours. He got there for the last 6 hours of the first day, spent the night, came in the second day for the first 2 or 3 hours, and then had to hop on a plane to Portland. And then my second and third biggest customers, they're flip-flopping with that shit, right? So it becomes just a fucking headache, right? This is what Nike does. Disney has been trying, and they've actually achieved, that big blank status in terms of the movies that they've been making, right? But they haven't had something that defines their streaming service, which is really the future of their business.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I agree.
So I guarantee you there's been conversations that have happened where it's been like, number one, Mulan is a princess, but she's not one of the, top 3 that you think of. She's more of a niche market. Kind of like Jasmine.
Right.
You follow what I'm saying? It's just like, yeah, she's for the people over there, just like Jasmine is for the people over there.
Right.
You follow what I'm saying? Yeah. We're not talking about Cinderella here.
Right.
We're talking about somebody that, little girls everywhere are going to want to go see, but specifically those kinds of little girls are going to absolutely need to go and see. And there's nothing wrong with that. But guess what? That is the one that if we were going to lose money on, or if we thought that, you know, over the next slate of over the next 3 years on our slate, which we could possibly lose money at.
Yeah,
Mulan's probably on that list. So why not try it on our Disney Plus? Because we might be able to pick up another 50,000 subscribers.
Yeah, that's true.
Now, Josh's thing, when I mentioned this to him was, well, what about the people that would subscribe just to see the movie and then cancel their subscription? And I said, cuz, how many subscriptions have you canceled in your lifetime? I bet you can count on one hand.
It's tough, and they make it tough for you to cancel these subscriptions. Not like 1, 2, 3 at all these places.
Yeah,
they do it on purpose. Yeah,
bruh. You almost gotta have a college. You almost have to have some sort of college experience just to opt out of receiving mass emails now.
Right.
So canceling a fucking subscription is like the most difficult thing in the world.
Yeah.
Hold on one second, guys.
Yeah, you good. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Tenet is holding strong, Josh. So, you know, we'll see. I know Warner Brothers is backing your boy Nolan, so we'll see about it.
Right. But I mean, I have to agree with Cuz. Like, imagine if HBO, they already set up their streaming software, which is why
Max.
They get, you know, more competitive. So they all have the ability to do it.
Right.
But I just know personally, I know tons of people who literally signed up for HBO just for Game of Thrones. And as soon as the season ended, they canceled it.
I did too, but at least that was like 3 months for the season. But I definitely get your point too. But the thing is that these filmmakers, like I told you before, like Nolan, like he wants Tenet to be seen in theaters. Like it was shot for theaters.
It's a theatrical experience. I agree with that 1,000%.
Yeah. So if they put that on like a streaming service, I think, you know, like it will change how films are made if they can't go to theaters, you know, altogether, I guess, in that particular way.
Yeah, I mean, Nolan just wants to flex. No, I mean, look, he's not the only filmmaker that wants to do it.
Right.
Trust you me. The reason why it took so long to see The Irishman, they said it was because of the fucking technology. It wasn't because of the technology. It's because Scorsese really wanted a movie to hit theaters. Unfortunately for him, the movies that aren't guaranteed to pull in $250,000 or $200 million that first weekend, the theaters don't want you in there, nigga.
Right.
It's not even that the fans don't want you; the theaters don't want you.
Right.
Well, you got to understand, like, the amount of money that it costs to run a fucking movie theater, to run even a movie theater with fucking 3 to 5 screens, which is shit is almost an art house movie theater.
Yeah,
it's an insane amount of fucking money, bro.
Yeah.
They ain't got, bro. And then you got to think about it. The worst part of the business that I'm in, the worst part of what I do is that, you sit back and you look at the week coming up, right? And it's 7 days in every week, right? And it's like Monday's a dub, right? Tuesday's a dub. Wednesday, something might pop off. Thursday is kind of when shit kind of warms up.
Yeah. And
then Friday and Saturday is my money days. Like Friday and Saturday, if I'm going to make any money, it's going to happen 85% of the time on Fridays and Saturdays. It's the same thing with a fucking movie theater.
Just like movie theater.
Don't nobody want to sit in the movie theater on Monday night. Nigga, I gotta go to work tomorrow.
Right.
Shit, bro.
True. That's true, bro.
Shit, nigga. Like, nobody want to do that shit. So, like, I mean, Nolan has a point, but the worst part of Nolan's point is this. Of all the movies that he drops that aren't, Batman affiliated, you have no fucking clue what the hell these fucking movies are about before you go there.
Yeah, that's
you're drawing in on decent trailers that have some ominous ass music and some sort of special effect that you haven't seen people do before.
Right.
If you look at Inception, it's the fucking world folds up on you, like, holy shit.
Yeah.
The fuck is that, right?
Yeah.
Like, I want to go see it. You tell somebody, I want to go see Inception. Like, my wife isn't a movie person, When that movie dropped, it was like, babe, I want to go see Inception. My wife's going to ask the same question about every fucking movie I suggest we go see. What's it about? I don't fucking know. I don't fucking know. You follow what I'm saying? Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't.
I think it's gonna be. No, I was just saying. I think it's like gatherings like that might be the last thing to come back. Theaters, concerts, all that type of stuff. Like, who knows when it'll be back? And I guess to your point, it can really hurt the whole industry. You know, they might have to change everything they do overall.
Imagine how many people in the United States that work in a movie theater that get paid $60,000 a year. You gotta understand, if you get paid more than $40,000 a year and your chief place of employment is a movie theater, you are not a teenager. You are a grown ass person.
Yeah, you're like a manager
with grown ass bills and quite possibly some sort of child support there.
Yes.
Bruh. Yeah. How many people is that? Where do you put that at? 20,000?
Maybe. The most, yeah.
That's 20,000 Americans that now gotta find another fucking job. And if they had the educational level or the wherewithal to do that, they probably wouldn't be settling for at least $40,000 a year at a fucking movie theater.
So here's the question: if you bring them back, I mean, is their salary guaranteed? Because you might have to have less capacity there, right? So aren't you really losing money by paying them what their salaries were? If you got to have less capacity.
And that right there, Mike, is the problem with the movie theater industry, and why I'm telling you that it's almost better if all of these people start making this shit a Netflix sort of thing.
Right. Yeah, I never thought about that factor about, like, you know, the salaries. If you bring them back at less capacity, you're losing money. So how can you pay the salaries? That makes sense, actually.
Yeah.
Look. For all intents and purposes, you're going to lose half of the fucking department stores that you recognize by name before the end of the year 2020.
Yes,
I agree.
You're not going to lose the malls though.
No.
And there's a difference.
What do you think, Cuz? Where do you think they're going to take those department store space?
I've been in this shit for 15 years, cuz I've seen varying. I've seen a hodgepodge of ideas work to varying degrees of success. I've never seen anything work completely, right?
Okay.
And I'll give you an example. I don't know how much time you spend in King of Prussia Mall, right? Or how familiar you are with it.
I just been there like twice.
Yeah, but years ago, when Strawbridges went out of business, that was one of their main anchors, was Strawbridges. And the mall was built to incorporate Strawbridges as a retail store, as an anchor for the mall. You could drive to the mall right now. That retail space is still available. That retail space is still there. They just act like it doesn't exist.
They just closed it off, right?
They kind of close it off. They kind of, they just fucking forget that it doesn't, they act like it doesn't exist, right? And it works for a place like King of Prussia because it's two massive malls as one. So it makes it the areas, it makes it the tri-states biggest mall. It's actually the largest mall from Virginia through New York City.
Wow.
Properly. I mean, if you want to factor in outlet mall space, maybe. But King of Prussia has everything being quote unquote underneath one roof. It's like the largest mall in the fucking Northeast. And that doesn't mean
problem,
that
though, right?
mall,
For retail stores, women especially, but they try on clothes. You know what I'm saying? They touch clothes, they try them on and put them back. How do you keep all that sanitary?
That's a thing of the past, Mike.
What do you mean?
That's a thing of the past. Trying on clothes is not going to happen ever again in my life.
Oh, you mean? Oh, yeah. You're right. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Like God help you if you don't know your fucking size.
That's what I'm saying. So that's gonna be an adjustment because that's just interesting. So we said, and somebody's hired to work the dressing room. It's another job probably gonna be gone, right? So that's
I mean, I don't know how that's going to work out. The only thing I could tell you is that China, and when I say China, I want you to envision not so much mainland China, but more or less crazy rich Asians China.
Okay.
Which would be like Shanghai, Singapore, Hong Kong. Gotcha. Not necessarily part of China, but when us Americans say China, that's what the fuck we're thinking about.
Right.
Those retail economies have ramped up technology, and they've focused technology into the shopping experience. So online sales over there, while they may be thriving, they're not talking about online sales replacing brick and mortar over there, because technology in brick and mortar has kept pace with online sales. So one of the things is, and a friend of mine, actually one of the buyers at DSLR, was talking to me about it, where she was like, Jay, they have hangers, right? And on their hangers, when you pick up the clothing item, is somehow that, like, you can scan your phone and it scans your social media and it removes images of you on social media, or takes a composite of all the images of you on social media, and then it superimposes you into the garment that you're holding in your fucking hand.
Get out of here. What?
All to no bullshit. All to show you exactly what you will look like in this fucking garment, which is why you can try on clothes any fucking way.
Absolutely.
Right? Now, here's the thing. I own a retail store, Mike, and I've told Josh this before, which bugs me out. My business partner, who's a big guy, right? 3X44 type nigga. He knows everybody's sizes. He knows everybody's sizes to such a degree that I've seen more than just a couple grown ass men walk into my store and look at him and pick something up and say, yo, or point to something like, yo, what size are wearing this? And he tells them their fucking size.
Wow.
That's crazy.
I mean, could you guys think about making that an app or something? Could he, digitize his brain, Tony Stark style, and make an app? Because that would be fantastic.
I mean, whatever department store figures, decides to invest that into their technology, or invest that money into technology, is going to be the department store that wins. But right. I can tell you right now that all of these department stores basically operate like fucking grocery stores. And the amount of profit margin they have per garment is almost razor thin.
Wow.
And it's almost razor thin because of the amount of overhead. So a good way that I learned early on in this business was that your profit margin, depending on how you look at it, is either 50 points or 100 points, right? So if we're looking at it on a 50-point scale, right, which means you buy for 25, you sell for $50, right? Or rather, you buy for 50 and you sell for $100, right? 35% of that $50, which would be $35 on the 100-point scale, right? That goes into your infrastructure. Like literally, that goes directly back into the company as infrastructure, whether that be rent, whether that be employees, whether that be warehousing, whether that be fucking your shrink, you know, what's stolen that's not paid for, or what's returned that's not going to be sold, that equals out to 35% of your fucking business. So at the best case scenario, that store has a 15% profit margin. So on $100 item, they're only going to make 15. The nigga at the top is only going to be able to pay his salary off of a $15.
Wow.
It's different for me because I don't have the overhead that a Macy's has.
Yeah.
You follow what I'm saying? But
yeah,
it works the same. It works the same way if we're talking about movies, which is like, yo, what is the overhead for Netflix versus what's the overhead for AMC?
Yeah. It's tough. I think you're onto something. Only thing is what sucks about it is that whole, and you do it like you said yourself. It's that outing feel. Like people ask me for years, why you go to the movies? You can just watch it on the Fire Stick or something like that. Because I like going to the movies. You know what I mean? I like the actual going to the movies itself. So that's the thing that's going to kind of suck a little bit if it goes away altogether.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we're Americans have the luxury of being creatures of habit, and I don't believe that enough Americans appreciate that. You follow what I'm saying? Like, appreciate the fact that spending an exorbitant amount of money to go see a picture that moves and computer graphics.
Yeah, I agree with that.
You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like, hey, I think what we're dealing with here. Hold on one second, guys. I'm gonna keep talking, but I gotta plug you up. I'm about to lose power. I think what we're dealing with here is a situation where it's like we're being told no. So everything means something to us, even if it's not something that you actually fucking do. Or if it's something that you actually wouldn't do, right? And it's like everybody's talking about getting back to work. And unfortunately, a lot of us don't have jobs to go back to.
Right.
Yeah.
Won't have jobs to go back to. Like, I mean, let's just be completely fucking honest. JCPenney's filed for Chapter 11 Friday.
Bad.
Yeah. Oh, and then we also need to discuss other aspects of Phase 5 of Marvel, which is Guardians 3. I know both of you guys love Guardians. Are you guys excited about that?
I mean, I'm excited about it in theory. I'm not excited about everything that comes before Guardians because of James Gunn's because of Marvel being scared by rednecks and Bible thumpers and and James Gunn having to, supplement his income by taking a DC job that probably should not have existed to begin with.
Yeah, I'm excited about Guardian, but I agree. I don't know about that Suicide Squad he just did, but I'm excited. I mean, with the Marvel thing, like everything else, I mean, like it goes back always. It always comes back to the coronavirus, right? Because not only do they already have to push back their the movies they got coming out, but when can they actually start filming these things? That's what the issue really is. So I don't know how, it's hard to know when these things will actually be able to. And I don't know, other countries are, they're filming other places that might be different. Like I heard Black Panther might film in Australia this time instead of Atlanta. So, that could be different, depending on where you're at as well. So
gotta get prepared for Namor. You have to have an ocean.
I don't know how the culture itself, and not me, but our Black culture, will feel about Namor as a villain as opposed to Killmonger was. So,
That's a great point.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Killmonger quite possibly is removing Thanos, right? It's quite possibly the best one-off villain in the MCU history.
I would have to agree with that.
Because you don't have to be black to understand nor appreciate, good job, cuz, nor appreciate what Killmonger stood for and his point of view, right? And outside of that, he brought to every villain what you want to see in your villains, which was ruthlessness.
Yeah, I'm not a big Black Panther movie fan, so I won't agree with that, but I definitely get your point overall. I just felt like he was only the main villain for like half of the movie, so that's why I wouldn't really give him that, you know, on that situation. But I probably would put Loki a little higher than him that I would go with.
Oh no.
I think you're bugging.
Yeah. I mean, you got to remember, Loki was not only the villain for Thor by itself, then he was the villain for the whole Avengers in the first Avengers movie and whatnot.
Because of Thanos. Thanos gave him that courtesy.
We didn't see Thanos in the Avengers movie though. But we saw Loki.
No, because of the writing. Because of the writing that they wrote Loki as, and because of the great work that Tom Hiddleston did as an actor and translating the writing, it was like, yo, we need more of him. But make no mistake about it, the reason why you felt like you needed more of him was because villains don't exist in the fucking MCU.
They don't exist.
They don't exist.
Not like in DC.
Not in, like once again. Like,
yeah,
like
I agree with
said,
that. Yeah, we were
like
talking about that. I agree with that. Yeah.
Right?
I agree with that.
So because they don't exist like that, when you get one that is like Michael Fassbender is Magneto because Magneto is iconic. So it's like when we're planning out an X-Men movie, yeah, nigga, we gonna figure out a way to throw Magneto in this bitch. Almost like Batman and the Joker. You follow what I'm saying? Like, we're going to figure out a way to throw we're going to figure out a way to throw the Joker in this bitch. What makes Killmonger such a great fucking character is that, for all intents and purposes, whether you're a Black Panther comic book reader or not, yeah, does he exist? Like, did he exist prior to the movie? Probably not. But even if he did, did he exist? Did he exist in the way that character was written for the screen and the way that Mike Jordan played him? You follow what I'm saying?
Don't get me wrong. Go ahead, I'm listening. Don't get me wrong. He was great as a villain, but again, I like what was his name in the Black Panther movie? The villain, Claw. I like Claw better than I did Killmonger. I thought Claw was phenomenal, and I was mad when he got killed and stuff like that. Even though Killmonger was great, I thought Claw had comedy with him. I thought I could, you know, he just felt more villainous to me. I felt Killmonger's pain. You know what it is? Killmonger, I don't consider a villain because I feel where he's coming from. So I don't really feel like
that's and you know what? Right there, Mike. Right there is what makes him a great villain, and it's what makes and it's also what makes Ryan Coogler an even better writer.
Okay, I agree with that.
Is that he wrote a villain, or he wrote a quote unquote villain where at the end of the day you're still sitting back watching it like, you know what? T'Challa's a bit of a fucking Uncle Tom.
Yeah, right. I agree with that. Yeesh. I agree with that. I feel like Loki was more like, I just want to rule the world type villain. You know, he was actually a villain.
Yeah,
I feel like I could feel Loki.
I mean, look, you know, and look, what makes a great villain isn't the I want to rule the world ethos that you think it is, right? What makes a great villain is somebody that only wants his one piece. And his one piece could be the world, or it could be that part of the fucking city.
Yeah.
Or it could be that woman with tits.
Yeah.
But that's the one piece I want. And I'm gonna do whatever I can do to get that one piece. And what goes further into making that great villain is when he can actually make sense, is when that message makes sense to you as the observer. Like,
that's true.
Like
because Thanos' message made sense, and so did the Joker's actually at the end of the day when it came to the Dark Knight.
Bruh, that's what makes Heath Ledger's Joker so iconic. It's two scenes. It's the scene where he burns the mob's money, and the scene where he explains that, yo, I'm just a dog chasing a car.
Yeah.
I don't know what the fuck I'm gonna do once I catch the car. I just know that I like chasing this mother. It's once he says that where you're like, oh shit, this nigga crazy. But you know what? How crazy can he possibly be if he broke it down in a way that you understand?
So back to my original question then. Since Killmonger was so good and translated so well, especially to the black culture, do you think we'll be disappointed by like Namor, some white mutant dude or whatever?
So I will be upfront and honest with you in telling you that when I did read comic books on a daily basis, which I don't read now because I don't have the time to, but when I did read comics on a daily basis as a child, Namor was never on my list to read about.
Gotcha. Okay.
Like my mother brought home a shit ton of comic books from a coworker she had. Like he gave her whatever he didn't want in his collection. My mother don't know no better. She's like, my son likes comics. That nigga he gives her a bunch of shit. I can vividly remember that The Watchmen was one of the comics that stood out the most to me because I didn't notice them. Right.
Okay.
But if in fact theoretically there was a Namor centered comic in there, or even one where he was in that motherfucker, I probably would have thrown that bitch out the window.
Okay. What about you, Josh? How do you feel about the Namor as opposed to Killmonger?
Well, speaking as the DC savant here, if you will, I mean, he's just regurgitated Aquaman, and he makes Aquaman look even cooler. And Aquaman is like
you can knock it.
Corniest.
Aquaman's not cool. Aquaman ain't been cool since Entourage.
He's definitely been cool since Entourage. That's for sure. What was not cool was that Mandy Moore casting. That was outrageous. Yo, Jay, can you believe Tony never seen Entourage? I was like, what?
Who's
good.
Tony never seen? Who's never seen Entourage?
Tony, who was just here. Anthony.
Ant, who was just here. Yeah, he never seen Entourage.
You mean Ant has never seen what, the movie or the show?
The show. Both. Yeah, both. Yeah.
He's from Jersey?
Yeah.
Trenton. You know what? Ant, if you're listening, you're one of the reasons why I kind of side eye every third Jersey nigga I meet now.
Wow. Well, listen, put him in the third. I'm back to number one then, because I've seen Entourage a couple times. I love Entourage. I watched that film recently, actually.
Yeah, right.
Anyway, fellas, it's been real. But I gotta get on out of here myself.
Yes, sir. Right. Yes, sir.
All right, Big Mike.
Hey, Jay, good to meet you, man. You gotta hop back on with us, man. For real, bro.
Well, definitely. I'm available at any time where I can get proper notification and a heads up. And
hey, Josh, hook them up, man. You got
when it's
every Sunday, right around this time.
All right, so just let me know. And
all right, man. All right,
when all this shit is over, we gotta catch up.
Definitely.
Yes, sir. So let me call you after we end the live here.
All right, no problem.
All right,
cuz.
But yeah, guys, that was a great show. So as you can see, we're on our new YouTube space. So that was a lot of fun. And thank you for watching, and stay safe out there.